Two Geeks, Two Beers, episode 69, Clue.
Just checking.
Everything all right?
Yep, 2 corpses, everything's fine.
Hello and welcome to episode 69 of Two Geeks, Two Beers with me, Tom, and this doesn't mean anything, the Colonel Mustard to my Professor Plum, it's Morgan.
Nice.
Doesn't mean anything. But
It means nothing. It's meaningless. Totally meaningless.
So for this episode, I've picked one of my all-time favourite movies, and one that I think is a pretty Marmite movie. I think you either get or you don't get this film.
It's a Marmite movie, not a mustard movie.
Very good, very good. It is Clue. Now, on paper, I know a movie based on a board game, the board game Cluedo, or Clue as it's called in the States, sounds rather bonkers. But once you get past the oddity of its source material, it is, in my opinion, a fantastic, hilarious, and at times quite scary murder mystery farce. So, have you seen it?
No, I was going to say I literally haven't got a clue about Clue.
Ah.
My knowledge, my knowledge of this subject is scant at best. I have never
Clueless.
seen. I'm clueless. I have never seen Clue, so I'm literally without a clue. I have, and I think I maybe have played Cluedo once ever, and I don't really understand. I know all the stuff about Colonel Mustard in the study with the candlestick, but I've never played it. I've never watched it. Got no connection to this whatsoever.
Great. Well, good start. Well, this would be a classic Two Geeks history lesson episode then.
Yeah.
Was Cluedo for you? Because I loved Cluedo growing up as a board game, and I still play it every Christmas. Whereas Monopoly, never played. Recently played for the first time during lockdown, and it took me the whole game for me to understand how it works, and I still don't really understand it. So, is it the same for you with Cluedo?
Well, I think maybe it's like, you know how you're either a BBC household or an ITV household. Maybe it's the same. Maybe you're either a Cluedo household or a Monopoly household, because we were very much a Monopoly household. But I hated Monopoly because I was bad at it. But also,
You're still bad at money now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it didn't teach me anything. I'm still terrible with handling my money, but managing money and buying property. But also, Monopoly is perfect for lockdown because it takes fucking forever. It takes like a day to play a single game. And actually, I think most games of Monopoly we played, we would just give up because it would be like, this has been 6 hours. Should we just give up and watch some telly? Yeah, let's just do that. So.
Well, because if you play it with 2 people, it's fine. But I assume if you play it with like 6 or 7 people, that could go on for days. Because it's not like one winner. Like Cluedo, one winner, it ends as soon as someone wins. Whereas Monopoly, I assume you go until everyone's bankrupt apart from one.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Oh my god! Why does everyone love it so much?
I guess it fills the time. I think maybe it was invented during a gentler age
time
when there was less to do, and you know how like people used to go and like go to the cinema and watch like. It would be like all day, and they'd watch a double feature with a little animation in between, and they'd be like, "It's great because I've got nothing else to do, so I'll spend all day doing this." I think it was the same with Monopoly, and again, now perfect. You can spend all day playing Monopoly because what the fuck else are we going to do?
Well, I was going to point this out with this film in particular. So I feel like everyone growing up, particularly in our generation and before. In an age before the internet and DVDs, you kind of grew up on the films and TV shows that your parents just sort of happened to record from telly or bought VHSs of.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of my geeky obsessions as a child were spun off from one particular VHS tape that my brother had compiled, like a mixtape of just great 80s cartoons. So it was like Thundercats, Ulysses 31, Muppet Babies. Basically, it's like an episode list of the Two Geeks, Two Beers podcast. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
But yeah, you have a relatively small pool of like films, and as a kid, you watched them over and over again because again, you didn't have Netflix or anything like that. You just watched whatever you had. And you might not have even understood most of it. You just sort of, for whatever reason, the combination of everything, whether it's the characters or whatever, you just really enjoyed. And Clue, for me, was one of them. I love the characters, the setting, the mood of it all. But it turns out I'm not alone, because even though it wasn't, this is a classic Two Geek staple, even though it wasn't the best received movie of all time, it was, as we always say, gone on to have a cult following.
Fantastic. Perfect Two Geeks fare.
Yeah. And, nowadays they do make movies out of anything, like Angry Birds or Battleship or whatever. But back then, it was quite a bold move to try it. And it backfired a little bit, but it got there in the end.
It was a bold and stupid move.
So I'll give you a little mini history lesson of Cluedo the game, shall
Please
I?
do. I know very little about it.
So, known as Clue in America, Cluedo is a murder mystery game for 3 to 6 players that was devised in 1943 by Anthony E. Pratt from Birmingham in England.
So, you may well get onto this, but
yeah.
So it was Cluedo originally.
Yeah, so it was invented in Birmingham. Yeah.
So, did they just decide, what does that even mean, Cluedo?
Exactly. Well, Cluedo is a play on Clue and Ludo, which is Latin for I play, and so they put it together. Whereas in America, they're just like, let's just call it Clue, because it's all about finding clues, isn't it? Which, fine. Cluedo just sounds better, doesn't it? It's just easier to say.
But it is one of those things that I've never really thought why it's called Cluedo.
No,
it's just an iconic thing, Cluedo. But okay, Clue, Ludo.
First manufactured by Waddingtons in the UK in 1949, and since then been relaunched and updated several times. It is currently owned by and published by the American game and toy company Hasbro.
Who done it? Where? And how? Clue. Solving this mystery can be murder.
So, in case you didn't know, the object of the game is to determine who murdered the game's victim, where the crime took place, and which weapon was used. Each player assumes the role of one of the 6 suspects and attempts to deduce the correct answer by strategically moving around a game board representing the rooms of a mansion and collecting clues about the circumstances of the murder from the other players. So essentially, you show the cards each time you guess them, and if the next person has any of those, you reveal it, and one by one you tick them off until you have none left and you can make a guess. But it is possible to just make a random guess in your first go if you wanted it, and if you got it right, that's the end of the game.
So is it kind of like Guess Who, but like Guess Who killed this person?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So let's get you in the mood of the film by showing you the trailer, shall we?
Every person in this room has the perfect motive.
Stand back!
For murder.
What do you mean? Murder.
But only one of these suspects is the murderer. Is it the timid Mr. Green?
Why are you screaming? Because I'm frightened of what? Screaming!
Or the militant Colonel Mustard?
If I was the killer, I would kill you next.
Huh?
I said if.
Mrs. White, who helped her husband on his way.
Well, it's a matter of life after death. Now that he's dead, I have a life.
Miss Scarlet, who's helped many men along the way.
Practice makes perfect. Huh.
Professor Plum, who's looking for a way.
I'm looking.
Mrs. Peacock.
I have absolutely no idea what we're doing here, but I am determined to enjoy myself.
Or did the butler do it?
No.
Paramount Pictures invites you to an evening of mystery.
Let us in! Let us out!
Murder.
This is getting quite serious.
And madness. In the movie that makes a scene of the crime.
So who did it?
Clue. It's not just a game anymore.
What a cast!
I know.
Gotta say, looks like a lot of fun.
So, did you not know some of those people that were in the film?
I think the only person I knew was in the film was Tim Curry, famously.
Because I banged on about it.
Well, and we both are a little bit obsessed with Tim Curry. We should just do an episode all about Tim Curry's career at some point, from Command and Conquer to Loaded Weapon 1.
But I feel like that trailer didn't, even though it looked, it's good, but it doesn't really sell it as well as it could do. It makes it look really silly, which it is at times, but it's not as silly as it makes out, or the other way around. You know what I mean? Anyway, Cluedo was directed by Jonathan Lynn, the English filmmaker, who also directed films such as My Cousin Vinny, and he also co-created and co-wrote Yes Minster and Yes Prime Minister, the sitcoms.
Did you say Yes Minster?
I did, and I hoped I'd get away with it. But, because I was born near Wimborne Minster, which
There we go.
little fact for you there. It was produced by Halloween co-writer Deborah Hill and written by Lynn, alongside a story with executive producer John Landis. So you had a decent team at the helm.
And Landis, American Werewolf in London, right? And Deborah Hill. So actually, it does have some serious horror credentials, does Clue?
Exactly. So let's go through the cast. So first up, obviously, you've said it, Tim Curry plays Wadsworth, a butler who once worked for a character called Mr. Body and is seeking justice for his wife.
Ladies and gentlemen, you all have one thing in common. You're all being blackmailed.
Don't need to say much about Tim Curry, legend. As you say,
literally legend, yeah.
Yeah. Very good, very good. Eileen Brennan plays Mrs. Peacock, the wife of a US senator who was accused of taking bribes.
Well, if you'll excuse me, I have to, is there a little girl's room in the hall?
Oui, madame.
No, I just want to powder my nose, thank you.
She sadly died in 2013. She is known for playing Captain Doreen Lewis in Private Benjamin, for which she received an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actress. And she reprised that role in the TV adaptation, which I didn't even know existed. And she won a Golden Globe and an Emmy for that. She also worked loads in TV and stage. She also received Emmy nominations for Newhart, 30-something, Taxi, and Will and Grace. So she did all sorts.
Wow. That's pretty good to, you play a role in cinema and you get an Oscar nomination. You play it on TV, you get an Emmy nomination. You nailed it both times.
Exactly. Madeline Kahn is brilliant as Mrs. White, the widow of a nuclear physicist who died under suspicious circumstances.
You were jealous that your husband was stripping her. That's why you killed him, too.
Yes. Yes, I did it. I hated her so much. It flames on the side of my face, heaving breaths.
But while we were in the billiard room,
really funny actress, known for sort of comedy roles, normally with Mel Brooks. She was in What's Up, Doc, Young Frankenstein, and won an Oscar or at least nominated for an Oscar for Blazing Saddles and Paper Moon. She sadly died aged just 57 in 1999. Mr. Christopher Lloyd plays Professor Plum a year before Back to the Future. So even though he was sort of a thing because he was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and films like that, but his breakout role was a year. The same year, 85, obviously. Not
good year for Christopher Lloyd.
What a year for Christopher Lloyd. So yeah, he plays Professor Plum, a disgraced former psychiatrist working for the World Health Organization. Would you believe?
What sort of pictures are they? They are my pictures, and I'd like them back, please.
No, I'm afraid there's something in them that concerns me, too.
Let me see.
Oh, no. Nobody can get into that position.
Sure they can. Let me show you.
Michael McKean plays Mr. Green, a State Department employee. Again, brilliant comedic actor, known for lots of things, including Laverne and Shirley, This Is Spinal Tap, Better Call Saul more recently. And he's currently starring in, Breeders with Martin Freeman?
Yeah, great show.
Yeah, so he's still in work, as it were.
I love that bit. Like, Michael McKean, still in work.
Is it McKean? I always call him Michael McKean.
I think either way we've undersold him.
Sorry, Michael. Sorry.
Still working.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I told you I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
And you were very right. I didn't think you were, but you were right. Martin Mull plays Colonel Mustard, a war profiteer employed to be a client of Mrs. Scarlett's service. Brilliant character actor, known for roles in Roseanne and Sabrina the Teenage Witch as Willard. He also appeared often in Arrested Development as well.
Wadsworth, am I right in thinking there is nobody else in this house?
No.
Then there is someone else in this house.
No, sorry. I said no, meaning yes.
No meaning yes? Look, I want a straight answer. Is there someone else or isn't there? Yes or no?
No.
No, there is or no, there isn't?
Yes.
Leslie Ann Warren plays Miss Scarlett, a sassy Washington, D.C. madam.
Who would want to kill the cook?
Dinner wasn't that bad.
How can you make jokes at a time like this?
It's my defense mechanism.
A prolific Broadway and TV and film actress. Played Dana Lambert in Mission Impossible, the original series, and was nominated for an Oscar as well for Best Supporting Actress and Golden Globe for playing Norma in Victor Victoria. So, got a lot of pedigree in this cast.
A lot of pedigree.
Also, Colleen Camp plays Yvette, a maid who used to work as a call girl for Miss Scarlett, now works as a maid for Wadsworth.
Bon, d'accord. But it is dark upstairs and I am frightened of the dark. Will anyone go with me?
I will.
You may know her for various supporting roles in films such as Apocalypse Now, Die Hard with a Vengeance. She was one of the detectives working on the case, and American Hustle more recently. And finally, Lee Ving, what a name, played Mr. Body with 2 Ds and a Y, who has been blackmailing the 6 guests of all of them. He was mostly best known for this. It's kind of his own.
Oh. Everyone else is like Oscar nominated, Back to the Future, one of the biggest franchises of all time,
Yeah.
and then this guy who's mostly known for being in Clue.
But if you love the punk rock band Fear, he is the lead singer and rhythm guitarist for Sled.
I mean, sure, all these other people had Oscar nominations and Golden Globe nominations, but were they lead singer in a punk band? No, they weren't.
Exactly. So, shall I go through the plot bit by bit as you haven't seen the film? I'm going to spoil it for you, but you should see it anyway once I've done this.
Yeah,
So
ruin the film for me, and then at the end I'll tell you if I still want to watch it.
Okay. So, set in 1954, 6 strangers are invited to a secluded New England mansion, met by Wadsworth the butler and Yvette. It says here, I haven't written this, the sexy and busty maid.
Good to clarify that, yeah.
Each guest is given a pseudonym: Colonel Mustard, Mrs. White, Mrs. Peacock, Mr. Green, Professor Plum, and Miss Scarlet.
Oh, so those aren't their actual names?
No, not their names.
At least not within the fiction of Clue,
in
the film.
In the cinematic universe.
So they've given them like backstory. I like this,
exactly.
like digging into their origins. Nice.
Exactly. A 7th guest arrived, Mr. Body, whom Wadsworth reveals has been blackmailing the others. Mrs. Peacock was accused of taking bribes for her husband, a US senator. Mrs. White suspected in the death of her husband, a nuclear physicist. Professor Plum had an affair with a patient, losing his medical license. Miss Scarlet runs an underground brothel in Washington, D.C. Colonel Mustard is a war profiteer, and Mr. Green is a homosexual, a secret that would cost him his State Department job. It was the 50s, okay? So Wadsworth explains that he gathered everyone to confront Mr. Body because he's also threatening his wife. So, threatening to expose the guests if he is arrested, Mr. Body gives them each a weapon: a candlestick, dagger, lead pipe, revolver, rope, and wrench. Demanding that someone kill Wadsworth, he turns out the lights. So let's watch this clip. It's Lee Ving as Mr. Body being hilarious, and he comes across as a bit of a shit Nick Cotton, if you can imagine that.
Wow. This is the guy who is only known for being in this movie, right?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised, given that you've just said he's a worse actor than John Altman. Wow. Fuck me.
You each have a lethal weapon. If you denounce me to the police, you will also be exposed and humiliated. I'll see to that in court. But if one of you kills Wadsworth now, no one but the 7 of us will ever know. He has the key to the front door, which he said would only be opened over his dead body. I suggest we take him up on that offer. The only way to avoid finding yourselves on the front pages is for one of you to kill Wadsworth. Now.
It's not Wadsworth.
Is he alive?
Mr. Body.
Stand back! Come here! Let me see. He's dead.
What? Oh, who had the gun?
I did.
Then you shot him.
I didn't.
Well, you had the gun. If you didn't shoot him, who did?
Nobody. Look, there's no gunshot wound. Somebody tried to grab the gun from me in the dark and the gun went off. Look, the bullet broke that vase on the mantel. Oh, sorry, here's me. He's absolutely right. Look, there's a bullet hole here in the wall. See that?
How did he die?
I don't know. I'm not a forensic expert.
Well, one of us must have killed him.
Well, I didn't do it.
Oh, God, I need a drink.
What do you think?
Wow. I mean, plot twist.
Yeah, see?
Interesting. Didn't see it coming.
So a gunshot rings out and the lights are turned on to reveal Mr. Body apparently dead without any indication as to how. Wadsworth explains that his wife committed suicide due to Mr. Body's blackmail because she refused to name friends who were socialists. And she had summoned the guest to force confession out of Mr. Body and turn him over to the police. Later, the cook is found dead, stabbed with a dagger, obviously. Mr. Body's body disappears, but is then rediscovered, killed with the candlestick.
How do you kill someone with a candlestick? Like,
Whack him over the head with it really, really hard.
Go at them.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. But I guess with the bottom half, not with the waxy half, because that would take a while.
He's got new injuries. Well, he's certainly dead now. Why would anyone want to kill him twice?
Seems so unnecessary.
That's what we call overkill. What we call psychotic.
Unless he wasn't dead before.
What's the difference? That's what we're trying to find out. We're trying to find out who killed him and where and with what.
There's no need to shout.
I'm not shouting. All right, I am. I'm shouting. I'm shouting. I'm shouting.
Well, Tim Curry there explaining the whole point of Clue by we are trying to work out who killed him and where and with what. See, that's what you call. They didn't put that in the trailer. They should have done because that's the ultimate trailer line.
That's economic dialogue, is what that is.
Exactly. So the weapons are then locked in a cupboard, and then a stranded motorist arrives and is locked in the lounge, while the guests search the mansion in pairs to try and find out. See if I think they at this point they think there's another murderer in the house or something like that because they're all saying we didn't do it, so there must be someone else in it. Someone burns the blackmail evidence, including like secret microfilm that Colonel Mustard has. They unlock the cupboard and kill the motorist with the wrench. Discovering a secret passage, Colonel Mustard and Miss Scarlet then find themselves locked in.
Wait. Why do they kill the motorist?
We don't know yet.
Oh! Someone kills the
motorist. Someone kills them.
I thought you meant like the gang.
No, not all of them. Yeah, no.
Right.
No, just someone kills the motorist. Discovering a secret passage, Colonel Mustard and Miss Scarlet find themselves locked in the lounge with the motorist's corpse until Yvette shoots the door open with the revolver.
The door's locked. I know. Then unlock it.
Where's the key?
The key's gone. Never mind about the key. Unlock the door.
I can't unlock the door without the key. Let us in. Let us in. Let us out. Let us out.
Then, a police officer investigating the motorist's abandoned car arrives to use the phone. The mansion receives a call, as you do, from J. Edgar Hoover, which Wadsworth takes alone. Yeah, just go with it. Successfully distracting the cop, the guests resume their search until the electricity is turned off by someone. Yvette, the cop, and the singing telegram girl are murdered with the rope, lead pipe, and revolver, respectively.
There's something funny going on around here. I don't know what it is. No, I'm not on duty. But I have a feeling that I'm in danger. You know that big, ugly house on top? Hello? Hello? Are you there?
Da-da-da-da-da. I am your singing telegram.
Did I miss the point at which it was explained why there's a singing telegram girl at the
No, we'll go on to that.
Okay, good.
Yeah, don't worry. So Wadsworth and the others regroup after he turns the electricity back on, and he reveals he knows who the murderer is in classic Jonathan Creek style. Recreating the night's event.
Yes, classic. You could have picked any detective. Could have gone.
I could have gone Poirot.
Poirot. Yeah. You avoided saying
Creek.
Poirot because you know you can't say Poirot. That's what it is. So you went, shit, I can't say Poirot. I'll say Jonathan Creek. That's easy.
It's easy to say.
I see you. I know what you're doing.
Recreating the night's events, Wadsworth explains that the 5 other victims were all Mr. Body's informants. So this is where it gets really interesting. So in the theatrical screening, when it was released at cinemas, audiences would be shown one of 3 endings. Whereas in the home media release and whenever it was shown on television, all 3 endings were included.
Wait. So when it was released in cinemas, they
didn't. Yeah.
They screened 3 different versions of the film essentially with 3 different endings.
And I think when you went to the cinema at the time, it said this is Clue ending A, ending B, or ending C. So the idea was, and it was quite revolutionary in its own way. It didn't work; it backfired horrifically. But
you'd go and see it 3 times.
You'd see it 3 times, but instead, people didn't know which one they wanted to go and see. They didn't know what it meant, so they didn't go at all.
Also, that's an idea that would only work then, because now you just go online and it would be
exactly
Clue endings A, B, and C explained.
Yeah,
every single ending that Clue has, you'd instantly be able to find all the answers.
Exactly. So, thankfully, the only version I've ever seen is the one that had all 3 endings. So what they did was, in the home release, it said that ending A and ending B were possible endings, but ending C was how it actually happened.
I'm glad they clarified that, because otherwise that would annoy me if I didn't know which
Exactly.
ending was Clue canon.
Yeah. Well, I remember when we talked about Bandersnatch in a previous episode, I referenced Clue for that precise reason, because Bandersnatch didn't have a definitive ending, and it annoyed me for that reason, whereas Clue at least said this is how it ended. So, ending A shows that Yvette murdered the cook and Mr. Body on orders of Miss Scarlet, for whom she once worked as a call girl. Scarlet then killed Yvette and the other victims, planning to sell the guests' secrets. Scarlet then prepares to shoot Wadsworth, who asserts that there are no more bullets, and disarms Scarlet as the cops arrive. And it reveals that Wadsworth is actually an undercover FBI agent. So would you like to see that bit?
I would love to see that bit in particular.
Okay, good.
And it's no good blackmailing me, madam. I have no more money.
Neither do I.
I know, sweetie pie, but you can pay me in government information. All of you. Except you, Wadsworth. You, as a mere butler, have no access to government secrets. So, I'm afraid your moment has come.
Not so fast, Miss Scarlet. I do have a secret or two.
Oh, yeah, such as?
The game's up, Scarlet. There are no more bullets left in that gun.
Oh, come on, you don't think I'm gonna fall for that old trick?
It's not a trick. There was one shot at Mr. Body in the study, 2 for the chandelier, 2 at the lounge door, and 1 for the singing telegram.
That's not 6.
1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1.
There was only one shot that got the chandelier. That's 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1.
Even if you were right, that would be 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1, not 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1.
Okay, fine. 1 plus 2 plus 1. Shut up! The point is, there's 1 bullet left in this gun, and guess who's gonna get it? Oh! Ah!
I'm only a guest. Where's the chief?
Wadsworth, well done. I did warn you, my dear. Mr. Hoover is an expert on Armageddon.
Wadsworth, don't hate me for trying to shoot you.
Frankly, Scarlet, I don't give a damn. As I was trying to tell you, there are no bullets left in this gun, you see? 1 plus 2 plus 1.
2 plus 1 is...
That's a good end. It could have ended like that. I think a lot of people would have been happy with that. But there was ending B as well. Mrs. Peacock, in this one, killed all the victims, all of them, to conceal her taking bribes from foreign powers. She holds the others at gunpoint while escaping to her car, but is caught by the chief, who is waiting outside. Wadsworth reveals that he is, yet again, an undercover FBI agent sent to investigate her.
What do you propose to do about it?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing at all. I don't approve of murder, but it seems to me you've done the world a public service by ridding it of an appalling blackmailer and his disgusting informers.
But the police will be here any minute. What happens then?
Why should the police come? Nobody's called them.
You mean?
That's right. Now, I suggest that we stack the bodies in the cellar, lock it, leave quietly 1 at a time, and pretend that none of this has ever happened.
Great idea. I'll leave first, if you don't mind.
Be my guest. In fact, I think we all owe you a vote of thanks. For she's a jolly good fellow, for she's a jolly good fellow, for she's a jolly good fellow, which nobody can deny, which nobody can deny, which nobody can deny. For she's a jolly good fellow, for she's a jolly good fellow, for she's a jolly...
I told you I didn't do it.
But what if the authorities find out what happened? The FBI will take care of that.
You mean my phone call from Mr. Hoover? I work for him, of course. How else could I have known everything about you all?
But is the FBI in the habit of cleaning up after multiple murder?
Yes. Why do you think it's run by a man called Hoover?
Oh, Mrs. Peacock.
How did you know my name?
Okay, take her away.
Take your hands off me! I'm the senator's wife!
Wadsworth, we got her.
You see, like the Manties, we always get our man.
Mrs. Peacock was a man?
Would anyone care for fruit or dessert?
But ending C is the true one. Any guesses to what you think it may be?
Not a clue.
Okay, so Professor Plum.
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess that Wadsworth is an FBI agent. I am gonna.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Anything else?
No, I'm gonna stick with that.
Okay. Well, in this ending, Professor Plum missed Mr. Body with the gunshot, but later killed him with the candlestick. Mrs. Peacock stabbed the cook, her former employee. Colonel Mustard bludgeoned the motorist, his driver during World War II. Mrs. White strangled Yvette out of jealousy and hatred for her affair with her husband. And Miss Scarlet clubbed the cop with whom she was bribing. And then this occurs.
So it must have been Mr. Green who shot the singing telegram.
I didn't do it.
Well, there's nobody else left.
But I didn't do it. The gun is missing. Whoever's got the gun shot the girl.
I shot her.
You? So it was you. I was going to expose you.
I know. So I choose to expose myself.
Please, there are ladies present.
You thought Mr. Body was dead, but why? None of you even met him till tonight.
You're Mr. Body.
Wait a minute! So who did I kill? My butler. Oh, shucks. He was expendable like all of you. I'm grateful to you all for disposing of my network of spies and informers. Saved me a lot of trouble. Now there's no evidence against me.
This all has nothing to do with my disappearing nuclear physicist husband or Colonel Mustard's work with the new top-secret fusion bomb.
No. Communism was just a red herring.
But the police will be here any minute. You'll never get away with this, any of you.
Why should the police come? Nobody's called them.
You mean, oh my God, of course.
So why shouldn't we get away with it? We'll stack the bodies in the cellar, lock it, leave quietly one at a time, and forget that any of this ever happened.
And you'll just go on blackmailing us all.
Of course. Why not?
Well, I'll tell you why not.
Good shot, Green.
Oh, very good.
Are you a cop?
No, I'm a plant.
A plant? I thought men like you were usually called a fruit.
Very funny. FBI. That phone call from J. Edgar Hoover was for me.
I told you I didn't do it.
All right, who done it?
You did.
That one lady right here.
Right.
Gentleman, steady right there.
They all did it. But if you want to know who killed Mr. Body, I did. In the hall. With the revolver. Okay, Chief, take him away. I'm going to go home and sleep with my wife.
Definitely the best of the three endings. And also, I like that because it's a twist ending that not only works on its own merits, but works if you've seen the other endings.
Yeah,
exactly. You know, as you saw, it upended my expectations.
See, very
good.
So Wadsworth reveals that he shot the singing telegram girl and is the real Mr. Body. Plum just killed his butler. What I love though is that obviously made in the 80s, set in the 50s. I love that the last line of the entire film is a gag about being gay and how being gay is just being ridiculous. I just love that that's the punchline of the whole film.
Yeah, that's true. A gay joke ended the film. Yeah, great.
So the multiple ending concept was developed by John Landis, who claimed in an interview to have invited playwright Tom Stoppard, writer and composer Stephen Sondheim, and actor Anthony Perkins of Psycho fame. Screenplay, yeah. So the script was ended up being written by Jonathan Lynn, but yeah, the idea that Sondheim and Perkins could have teamed up for a script, amazing. I don't even know if Perkins is he known for his screenplays. I wasn't really sure. He must have been.
Not famously, not predominantly. No.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not as well known.
Right. A fourth ending was also filmed, but Lynn removed it because, as he later said, it really wasn't very good. I looked at it and I thought, no, we've got to get rid of that. Apparently it was filmed. Wadsworth committed all of the murders in this one, he was motivated by his desire for perfection. Having failed to be either the perfect husband or the perfect butler, he decided to be the perfect murderer instead. He reports that he poisoned the champagne the guests had drunk earlier so they would soon die, leaving no witnesses. The police and FBI arrive and Wadsworth is arrested. He breaks free and steals a police car, but his escape is thwarted when 3 police dogs lunge from the back seat. And that's how it ends. So he slowly kills them all and then gets murdered. Just killed by a load of dogs.
So I mean, he very slowly kills them, because when exactly do they drink the champagne? Like right at the start of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. So you love a bit of casting stuff.
I do. If there's one thing you know about me, Tom, it's that I love a bit of casting.
So Carrie Fisher was originally contracted to play Miss Scarlet in this film, but sadly she had to withdraw due to entering treatment for drug and alcohol addiction. So in the end, she missed out. But I'd love to have seen her take that on. I think she would have been really good. Jonathan Lynn's first choice to play Wadsworth was Leonard Rossiter, but he died before filming started. Yeah, imagine that. That'd have been great. But yeah, sadly died soon before it started.
So with him, it would have been Rising Damp. With Tim Curry, it was more Rising Camp.
Very good. But the second choice before Tim Curry was Rowan Atkinson. But it was decided that he wasn't well known enough at the time, so Tim Curry was cast instead. So
was Tim Curry well known at this? Because he looks very young in this movie.
Well, he done Rocky Horror, I guess. So
there we go. Of course.
Again, I think it was the same year as Legend as well, 85. So a lot of stuff was going on for these guys.
Big year for Christopher Lloyd and for Tim Curry.
Exactly. For Yvette, the maid, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Demi Moore, and Madonna were considered for the role. But eager to earn the part, Colin Camp went to her audition in a French maid costume.
And weirdly, they hired her on the spot.
Weirdly, if you've seen the film, I think you can understand why.
Do you want me to read the lines? No, it's fine.
You're fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, fine. But I want to audition. I know the line. No.
In a 2013 BuzzFeed retrospective, which I thoroughly recommend reading if you're a fan of Clue, because I really go long on it. Jonathan Lynn admitted that although he was impressed with Camp's comedic acting skills, it was her well-endowed figure that ultimately convinced him. He said,
"Wow!" So he actually just came out and said, "I hired her."
Yeah, he goes, "There was no avoiding it." so
wow.
Yeah, it was the 80s. Clue was actually filmed on sound stages at the Paramount Pictures film studios in Hollywood. To decorate the interior sets, authentic 18th and 19th century furnishings were rented from private collectors, including the estate of Theodore Roosevelt. After completion, the set was bought by the producers of Dynasty, who used it as the fictional Hotel the Carlton. So it was used again. All interior scenes were filmed on the lot, with the exception of the ballroom scene. Sadly, the whole site was destroyed in a fire in 2005. So can't do like an immersive experience of Clue, which is sad.
Why did they keep it that long? Like Dynasty ended in the early 90s. Like obviously sad that it's gone, but why did they keep it that long?
Hardcore Clue fans. It just carried on the whole time. So the film was initially received with mixed reviews from critics. Janet Maslin of the New York Times wrote negatively of the film, saying that the beginning is the only part of the film that's remotely engaging. After that, it begins to drag. I sincerely and wholeheartedly disagree.
you would think she would enjoy the end if that case you didn't like the film.
Gene Siskel, gave the film 2.5 out of 4 stars.
I thought you were going to say 2.5 thumbs up. Like, how the fuck is he doing that?
He said, Clue offers a few big laughs early on, followed by a lot of characters running around on a treadmill to nowhere.
It's going well so far, Tom.
Yeah, Roger Ebert, he gave the film 2 stars out of 4, writing that despite a promising cast, the film's screenplay is so very, very thin that the actors spend most of their time looking frustrated, as if they'd just been cut off right before they were about to say something interesting, which I totally disagree with. I feel like the screenplay is one of the strongest things about the film. I was thinking there, watching it, I love how most of it doesn't have music in it. Most of it's like it's you're going to see a play at theatre, just really well written. I mean, it's the guy behind Yes Minster, so it's going to really.
If you can write a show of the quality of Yes Minster, then of course, it's going to be a great script.
Universal Studios announced in 2011 that a new film based on the game was being developed. The film was initially dropped, but then resumed as Hasbro teamed up with Gorb Verbinski to produce and direct. But in 2016, Hasbro had landed at 20th Century Fox, and they were still overseeing the project. The film would be a worldwide mystery with action-adventure elements, potentially setting up a possible franchise.
So, wait, so
sounds
what?
Sounds a bit Jumanji, essentially.
But how do you do a worldwide version
know.
of Clue or Cluedo? There's like the study is in Asia and the ballroom is in
Maybe it's
Europe.
done over Skype or Zoom or something, and that's how they do it in lockdown.
A Zoom whodunit would actually be really good. It's a really good idea.
You heard it here
Don't
first.
steal my idea. Don't steal my idea.
In January 2018, Fox announced that Ryan Reynolds.
Of course. Is there any franchise that at some point hasn't had fucking Ryan Reynolds attached
exactly.
to it?
Well, they said he would star in a live-action remake of Clue with Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, writers for Deadpool, as scriptwriters. In 2019, it was reported that, of all people, Jason Bateman was in talks to direct the film. But by February 2020, Bateman was no longer attached. Instead, James Bobin had been in talks for directing it. So it's still very much talked about as recently as February 2020.
Bobin, he was Flight of the Conchords. That was his big thing, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm intrigued, but I don't think it'll be anything to do or connected or anything like this film. I think it'll be a totally brand new thing. So a weird little thing here. I've never seen Psych, the TV series. Have you seen it? Have you watched it?
No, I know it's basically The Mentalist with jokes.
Yeah. So I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it's got a massive.
I'm sure it's great.
It's quite cult. I think it's got its own fan base. But for its 100th episode, they did an episode titled 100 Clues, and it featured Clue stars Martin Mull, Christopher Lloyd, and Leslie Ann Warren as suspects in a series of murders at a mansion. The episode, in addition to many jokes and themes in homage to the film, includes multiple endings in which the audience, separately for the East and West Coast viewership in America, decided who was the real killer, and it was dedicated to the memory of Madeleine Kahn. Now, how niche is that? I mean,
I think Psych did a lot of these kind of niche tributes.
Right,
but also, I like the idea that in their 100th episode, they didn't go, should we do an episode celebrating our own show, Psych? No, let's do an episode all about Clue. Good on them.
Amazing.
Great.
But very niche. That is incredible.
Of course it was you, Martin, who loosened the screws on the ginormous chandelier, knowing full well it was Billy's magic spot, and it was only a matter of time.
Everyone got what they had coming. I'm the smartest guy in the room. I should always win, always.
That's behind your back, Professor.
There we go.
Now, Gus and I are gonna go home and make love to our wives.
We're not married, Sean.
Let's just go through facts, shall we? We'll have a bit of factoids. The colour of each character's car is the same colour as their playing piece in the game. I like that. Attention to detail. In another example of attention to detail, the secret passages in this movie led to the same rooms they do in the board game. So the kitchen leads to the study and the conservatory leads to the lounge. So in the board game, they have all these secret passages. They made sure it did the same in the film. I love that.
Nice. You were talking earlier about mustard up the secret passage, which just sounds painful.
When everyone is split off into pairs, the partners correspond with the rolling order of the game as well. So Miss Scarlet and Colonel Mustard, Mrs. White and Wadsworth. He's not a character in the game, but don't worry about it. Mr. Green and Yvette, again, don't worry about Yvette. Mrs. Peacock and Professor Plum. So in that order, it's the same order as you're meant to play in the game. And the drawing, there's a scene where they draw lots, like straws.
Yeah.
It's sort of symbolic of the dice roll because the contestant is always referring to ladies first, which in the game you always start. Miss Scarlet always starts. So that was another little.
It's sort of the level of attention to geeky detail that you would expect from a movie made now, where basically all movies, and I say this with love, are made for like 13-year-old boys.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much all cinema is now made for 13-year-old boys, which I quite like.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't expect that level of attention to nerdy detail back then. So I like this.
Wadsworth says the police will arrive in 39 minutes at one point, and then the chief rings the bell at 45-minute real time minutes later, which I like. So they were pretty close. Because normally, they say we got 5.
They weren't right, but it was pretty close.
Well, no, and later on, Professor Plum says they only have 15 minutes until the police come, and then exactly 15 minutes later, the police chief rings the doorbell. So I like.
Does the whole film unfold in real time?
Pretty much, yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, give or take. I like that because often when it's like there's going to be a bomb that explodes and it's like we've got 30 seconds and it says 30 seconds and it counts down. Loads of stuff happens, then it goes back and it's like 7 seconds left. Like what? That wasn't 3 seconds. Why are you lying to me? And just try. And originally there were endings in which each character killed off everyone once, and then the ending where they all did it. So. But then they realised that the final cut would have made the movie over like 2.5 hours long. They were going to do an ending of every
So there were endings where everyone killed everyone, but also everyone killed each person. I can't even do the maths on that.
Yeah, so Jonathan Lynn just thought, it's a bit excessive. So let's just cut it down to 3 endings, shall we? So thoughts on the movie Clue?
Well, we went into this, and I went into this thinking that you would ruin this film for me, and you did. But not only did you ruin it for me, you actually ruined it for me 3 times.
Oh, okay.
So that's great.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I went into this slightly cynically. I thought, how do you make a decent movie out of a board game? I can't imagine Jenga the movie would be a big hit at the box office, although maybe it would go on to earn a cult following. But no, this. Do you know what? I am intrigued. I may well. Is it out there? Is it streaming? Is it easily accessible?
I don't know. I assume it's out there somewhere on Amazon Prime or something that you might have to buy it. But it's definitely worth a watch. Hell of a lot of fun. Brilliant performances of its time, obviously. But yeah, it's really great. You said there has any about board games being made into films. Any other ones? There's Battleship, if that counts.
Yeah, Battleship definitely counts. I don't know. Are there any more?
There is an article I found on Den of Geek which goes into upcoming films that are being made now. Like there's Dungeons and Dragons, if that counts. That's coming out, and there already was one, wasn't there, at some point? Dungeons and Dragons.
There was starring. I think Marlon Wayans and Justin.
All right, yeah.
Justin Whalen, who was the second Jimmy Olsen in Lois and Clark.
Yeah. I mean, we've had like the Lego movie, and we've had the Playmobil movie. Apparently, there's a Play-Doh movie coming out. I don't know how that works. And there's also, it says here, Monopoly, the movie. It is happening.
And is it going to be like 4 hours long, like any game of Monopoly?
It should be.
I've just looked it up, and you can, if you have Sky or Now TV, you can watch Clue. Also, if you have Stars Play on Amazon, you can watch it for free, or you can buy it or you can buy it on Amazon as well for a mere £2.50.
There you go. Well, that is it. I hope you enjoyed that gruesome farce. We're back in a couple of weeks with another episode.
that's just this podcast.
That's just us, yeah. If you want to hear more drunken ramblings, including other 80s films such as Legend, Back to the Future, and Predator, then head to 2geeks2beers.com, and please, as ever, subscribe and rate us wherever you get your podcasts.
If you don't, we will kill you with a candlestick. You can also find us across all social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at 2geekscast. That's where you'll find us.
And we're also on Patreon, where you can support us and sponsor us by just donating a little bit of money. You'll get lots of exclusive goodies and a special episode that only you'll be able to get there. It's not available anywhere else. And we're also on YouTube, slowly uploading clips on there. And if you do want to get in touch with us, what other murder mysteries could we tackle? Any other cult favourites that you think deserve some sort of love? Then email.
I think you should all pile in, send us your emails, and demand that we do an episode all about Poirot.
No.
And a Tom host, just so that he has to say the name of.
I'll just call him Hercule the whole episode.
It's not like Sherlock. You can't call it. No one calls him Hercule. You have to call him. What do you have to call him?
Poirot.
There we go. Poirot. You can do it.
Yeah. Well, if you want to do that, email us at podcast@2geeks2beers.com. So to play us out, I've picked one of the 50s tunes that you hear during the film on the record player. It's played throughout in the background, including the hilarious moments towards the end where they keep finding just new dead bodies. And it just becomes so normal that they just sort of shrug, move on. Oh, here's another one. All right. So this is the Crew Cuts version of classic 50s tune Shaboom. So enjoy this, and we'll see you soon.
And after all
So if you could play any of the characters, do any of the colours, what would it be?
Professor Plum. It's just fun to say, and also, I think I'd look great in plum. Is plum a color? Plum.
Yeah.
What about you? French maid's outfit. Yvette.
Yeah. Go for that.
There we go. And I went for that because obviously you've rocked up in that outfit for this episode.
Yeah.
Lost on our listeners, but I appreciate your dedication.
It's really comfy. Really comfy.
Just leave the webcam where it is. Don't tilt it any lower.
Okay.
I'm...
What, like this?
No, God.